So while Massimo switches the presentations, I would like to ask how many of you would consider themselves to be engineers or engineering professionals? Please raise your hands. Stretch your arms because it's a bit late. Okay, thank you. Yeah, there it is. So I'm going to present together with my colleague Gabriel some of the results of the PDP-4E project. Which is privacy and data protection for engineers. That's the original of my question. It's a project that has been already mentioned before in several presentations. We have here Antonio, Jose, also David is there behind. So there's quite a few of us besides both of us. And there are 8 partners that you can see there. That's a project funded by the European Commission and H2020 project. And as I said, it's trying to provide tools that are addressing engineers in their development process. Why? Because if I ask whether GDPR should be an engineer's job, sometimes it's understood that's something which is just a matter of lawyers. Well, it seems that the answer is yes. Sorry for the spoiler, but it's an engineer's job. So these are captures from different magazines, journals, blog posts that have in common that they answer yes, that question. So what you need to know about Europe's data privacy rules, they will even affect individual coders, what developers need to know, how they will change the way you develop, etc., etc. But unfortunately, this is another point. So how many of you would consider themselves to be privacy experts, privacy professionals? Okay, most of you. Unfortunately, the world outside is not the same as this room. So engineers are not so often privacy professionals. And what engineers find, what they encounter when they are creating new products, when they are addressing new endeavors, is first the law, the GDPR, the thick, big book of the law, GDPR, plus Working Party 29 guidance and so on. Which is great, but it's not addressing engineers. They also find the principles of privacy by design and data protection by design. They're from Ankabukian, this figure, which are also great, but they are just quite abstract. They are not operational. They cannot put them into specific terms of the developments. Then there are privacy-enhancing technologies, which are also great, but which are for privacy experts in this case. It's difficult to systematically apply them. And we also have a bunch of tools, but they are addressing mostly managers, lawyers also. They are not addressing engineers. So privacy program management, privacy enterprise management tools. What engineers want? They want some of the things that are on the right-hand side. They want backlog items for requirements. They want data flow diagrams. They want class diagrams. They want database models. They want assurance cases. They want risk management. That's what engineers are used to working with. And that's what we aim at providing from PDP-4E. So we consider that engineers are not privacy experts, but they will need to face privacy issues because they are the ones who are developing the systems. And we cannot put engineers aside. We need to put them in the center of privacy engineering. They will also for sure get privacy advice, but they will face problems that we'll need to solve by themselves. And we consider that we shall endow them with privacy and data protection tools which are aligned to their mindset. So if there's a bunch of tools, a bunch of methods addressing software and systems engineering, why don't we introduce existing privacy and data protection wisdom, such as the one that has been exposed in the several IPEN workshops, into the existing software and system engineering disciplines, and we provide engineers with tools that are aligned to their mindset? That's what we are doing in PDP-4E. We are introducing privacy and data protection features into general purpose engineering tools. We are introducing privacy and data protection activities into general purpose engineering methods. We are providing a body of knowledge that systematizes the privacy engineering knowledge, and we aim to foster the creation of a privacy engineering community where privacy experts and engineers are gathered together and which breaches, that gap that I have mentioned. How do we do that? We are addressing mostly 4 disciplines which are quite related to privacy engineering, to privacy and to software and systems engineering. Requirements engineering, model-driven design, assurance and certification, and risk management. So if we have legal requirements, they are engineering requirements, so that's why requirements engineering is here. We also consider that the engineers need to know their own systems they are creating, which is something they do when they are designing their systems, but we are annotating those designs with privacy properties, which also allows us to analyze those designs against compliance and to transform them so that they become compliant. Then there's risk management, which is traversal to privacy, data protection, and GDPR, and assurance and certification, because it's not good enough to be good, but you also need to demonstrate that. So behave good and look good. We are applying that to 2 scenarios, one on smart grid and the other one on connected vehicles. And as I said, that we are departing from the state of the art on privacy engineering and from existing tools. This is the proof. All these are the methods and the tools that we are reusing as background and which we are extending. So you can find there privacy risk management methods such as Lindun, for requirements UML4PF, ProPAM, PriPair, Musa as a risk management tool, OpenCert, a general purpose assurance tool. This is not privacy tool, as I said. Papyrus, a general purpose modeling tool. Framacy, which is a code instrumentation tool. So there are lots of tools that we are extending in this project. From a different perspective, these tools are related to one another. It's not just that we are providing a bunch of tools, a tool set, which are also isolated. There are interactions between the different methods and between the different tools. I would not like to go into the details, so just this figure to summarize that there are interactions and that the results from one tool go to the other. And going now into some of those tools and methods that we're providing for those disciplines, I will introduce you 2 of them, then I will give the floor to Gabriel. So first, risk-oriented methods. You may know that GDPR is quite risk-oriented. It's, first of all, you need to be able to, in order to comply, you need first to have addressed the potential risks for the data subject. It's not enough if there's no breach, if you have not properly addressed the risks beforehand. That's why it's said that GDPR is risk-oriented. There are also a lot of articles in GDPR that deal with risks. For instance, data protection impact assessment, 35. There's also security impact analysis, security measures to address security risks, compensations, liabilities, and fines, which are also risks, in this case for the company. Also related to supply chain and vendor relationship management, so the risks of your processors, of joint controllers, risk to rights and freedoms of data subjects, risk derived from data breaches, derived business risk, etc., etc. But not everything in GDPR is a risk. There's a tendency to try to make everything in privacy and data protection look like a risk. A couple of examples there. Risk of not asking the data subjects their age, or risk of not providing a transparent policy. For us, those are not risks. Those are requirements, those are goals that you must comply with, but you cannot say, okay, I have a risk of not providing a transparent policy. Come on, put a transparent policy, write it correctly. There can be a risk of misidentifying a child as an adult. Yes, there's a degree of uncertainty there. If the child is posing as an adult, or if the authentication mechanisms are not strong enough, yeah, there's a risk there. Risk of users having low reading skills and not understanding a given privacy policy. Maybe their mother language is not the language, or their mother tongue is not the language in which the policy is written. Those risks exist, but those risks have an uncertainty, and that's why we consider that we should have 2 separate ways of addressing GDPR requirements, one from risk orientation, another one from goal orientation. This risk orientation is reflected in this tool. These are captures from the Musa risk management tool. In this case, it's only addressing security risks, not yet privacy risks. But this allows engineers to manage risks using a Kanban board, which is a visualization to which engineers are used, and also some sliders. to put the different levels of impact and likelihood of the risks and the threats they are analyzing. Then this is a capture from a different tool. This is from OpenCert. And this is the current version we have for modeling for assurance of articles 35, 36, so DPIAs, and to the right is article 51B. For sure, I'm not going into the detail, but this is just to illustrate how this can be put into engineering terms. In this case, this is for assurance. Assurance is the way of putting into engineering terms what in GDPR appears as accountability and transparency. So assurance is the way of demonstrating that you comply with a given standard, a given law, because you have the evidences, the documents, the artifacts, the processes that prove that you are complying with that, all together and aggregated using a set of argumentations that allow you to reason that this and that or that, and I don't have the analysis from the DPO, but that's because I don't need a DPO, and so on and so on. I'm putting that into engineering terms. And if we go on, I give the floor to Gabriel so that he can proceed with